All right, we've got some breaking news involving the Los Angeles Chargers. This team has made a lot of big moves this offseason, but their most recent moves as of this evening, I think, will be very critical as well. Let's pull up the tweet highlighting this move. Here we go. The Chargers are signing former Raven running back J.K. Dobbins to a one-year deal. This is via at Tom Pelissero. Again, that was posted on X or Twitter. Look, I think this is one of those sneaky good moves that really smart teams do. I think it's the definition of an asymmetric situation in terms of very, very low risk. You're talking a 1 year, very team friendly deal in terms of getting a running back who's still 26, who, when healthy, is still very explosive, very powerful, has a career average of 5.8 yards per carry. So you're talking about a guy who, if he can live up to his healthy production, incredibly high reward. Low risk, 1 year deal. Not a lot of dollars are going to be allocated to it. I think this is one of those, like I said, sneaky good moves that could have a big impact for the Chargers into the regular season. Again, if J.K. Dobbins can be healthy. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Chargers fans, in the comment section below, a lot of moves have been made from LA this offseason. But which one do you think is the smartest acquisition they've done on the player front? Obviously, the coaching and new GM and all of that. Those are the big moves. But give us your smartest acquisition, player addition to the Chargers. Give us that move in the comment section below. But Miles, what do you think of the addition of J.K. Dobbins to the Los Angeles Chargers?
Yeah, Nick, I like this move because, like you said, we don't have all the details yet, but it's most likely going to be a short 1 year deal. The money probably won't be too sizable because this is a guy that needs to come back and prove that he can stay healthy. And I think the best situation for J.K. Dobbins was a situation like when he was on the Ravens. When it would be ideal. He's not there anymore, but if he had, offensive coordinator Greg Roman, if he had a spell back like Gus Edwards to really, he does have both of those things in this new Chargers offense. So I think this is probably better for J.K. Dobbins than staying with the Ravens in a way because he has Gus Edwards, the big, heavy power back who can really take a lot of the workload. J.K. Dobbins ease himself back in. He's an extremely dynamic runner. He could be that home run hitter if you need him to be. He's great out of the backfield. He can catch the ball very well. And I think in this Greg Roman led offense, I think it's going to be really, really good for him. But unfortunately, he does have a lengthy injury history. So, as I said, you want to kind of spell him early. You kind of want to manage his load and just let him start out and kind of like warm up, get those knees right, get everything rolling. And then about midseason is when you can really let him loose. So, it's great that the Chargers have a lot of good running backs, especially Gus Edwards, who I also really like, to help out with all of this load management. I think Dobbins is a special back, and I think personally, when healthy, if he was 100% healthy, he's probably better than Gus Edwards as a complete running back. It's just the fact that will he be healthy? Are these injuries flukes? And I think you have a low risk enough deal that if something were to happen, which I hope it does not, then you're not going to kick yourself for, kicking the tires on a guy like J.K. Dobbins. I think this is a really smart move by this Chargers front office to bring in a guy that everybody on this team knows well. Roman knows well, Ortiz knows well, and quite frankly, Jim Harbaugh knows well. He saw him at Ohio State as well. So this is a guy that's familiar with all parties involved. I think this is just a really good move in general.
Well, and I keep going back to the fact, and I feel like I've been watching J.K. Dobbins mainly because he started and played a lot as a freshman at Ohio State for so many years, but he's only 26. And while the injury issues are a legitimate concern, that's why he didn't get a lot of attention in the offseason. The reality is he's not like an older running back like an Austin Eckler that's pushing 30 or is on the wrong side of 30, because that's always the concern. That's usually when the productivity and the efficiency and the explosiveness falls off once you get closer and closer to 30. J.K. Dobbins does have a couple serious injuries, but if those are in the past, it's not like he's old enough where his production should dip. If he is healthy, big if, but I really, really trust the knowledge of Ortiz and everyone coming from the Ravens organization, Roman, that are now in LA to really have done their research and really think they have a chance here with Dobbins being healthy. If he can be healthy, I keep going back to the fact that he is one of the most underrated offensive playmakers in the National Football League. Everyone want to talk about Lamar Jackson, that Ravens offense, and rightly so. Jackson's absolutely spectacular. But J.K. Dobbins was one of the better running backs in the NFL, and he didn't even get all the carries. He was like a split kind of guy with the army of running backs, whether it was Ingram or Edwards during this time in Baltimore. But when he got the football, he was as good, if not better, than every other running back in terms of efficiency metrics in the NFL. And he's going to an offense, like you said, Greg Roman scheme, that is going to be very similar in terms of what he saw in Baltimore. And he has a quarterback with Justin Herbert, different than Jackson. But again, while teams playing the Ravens had to account for Jackson running more, teams playing the Chargers will obviously have to account for Herbert's passing more. So that means Dobbins should still face more favorable boxes like he did in Baltimore in a familiar Greg Roman offense. It seems like the stars are aligning here. Again, a team-friendly deal, most likely. This was an outstanding pickup by the Los Angeles Chargers.
And Nick, there's one more thing I want to touch on that I think is really key. We kind of touched on this early on in the season, but I do truly think part of the reason, and you've seen this in Baltimore a lot lately, they are known for having a ton of injuries the past couple seasons, but I think that was mainly because of a poor strength and conditioning staff. And since then, they've fired a lot of different people. I don't know if they have it in check quite yet, but that's not the case. The case we're talking about now is the Chargers. The Chargers brought over Ben Herbert from Michigan. We did a story about him. We talked about him. This is a guy who is huge on strengthening all of the ligaments in the knees and just getting everybody strong, strengthening the Achilles, doing all the work you need to get that little stuff right. So if J.K. Dobbins has the best chance of staying healthy and having a strength and conditioning coach who's going to focus on him, preventing any future injuries, I love Ben Herbert for the Chargers to get him where he needs to be. So once again, this is another piece of the Chargers puzzle that I think will be very good for Dobbins.